Hey guys, Jacob here. This is going to be another Division 2 video. This one's going to be covering the new and returning skills that are going to be in the next game. A lot of people have been asking me what I think about these skills and how I think they could be better, and what do I think if they're going to be OP or a pain in the ass or not. Is basically what they're saying, and what my favorite ones are, and what are the variants of each one. I will be covering the variants, but I will show you guys the text of what they do, but I'll also be explaining them just basically pretty simple so you guys get a general idea of what they do. But if you want the full details or a little bit more, I did put some in there for you guys to read. Those are ones I just got from just common information that was on their website, so that they said what they were. But I'm going to get right into it and tell you guys what the first skill on the list is. And this is a fan favorite from Division 1, but was never added, and that's going to be the drone. A lot of people wanted the drone to be in the first game, but they never added it. You guys will see that there's gameplay right here of it. It's a real quick clip of it, and it's shooting at an NPC, it appears like. But this is going to be the variants. The first variant is the striker variant, so this is an offensive version of the drone, because this is basically it's a turret that inflicts continuous damage upon its target and receives remote orders to attack a target. So this is like the standard, I guess, version of the drone you're going to get first, obviously, because it's just a normal one that shoots bullets at targets. But I still think this one will probably be used a lot in the beginning of the game by most players, since they probably won't have it yet. And the next one on the list is going to be the Defender. The Defender is a defensive drone that protects its owner by utilizing an experimental direct emitter. So it's like basically it deflects incoming bullets with a microwave burst, creating a visible barrier. So it's like a shield, but the more you get hit, the more the battery drains and the more you lose the shield. So if you're using this constantly, fighting players, NPCs, stuff like that, and the more it gets hit, the more it's going to get destroyed. Just remember that when you guys are using it. Now, the next two on the list are, a little bit different. One of them's kind of cool, which I think is probably going to be my favorite one, which I use. And the first one is the Bombarder. This drone can perform a bombing run across a large area. The drone that flies in the area designated by the player that drops a barrage of explosives and is strays from one end of the zone to another. So this one's going to be dropping bombs when you use it and blowing the shit out of stuff. The next one on the list is probably my favorite, actually, with the drones, which is the Fixer. As you see the first text, this defensive drone repairs armor over time, and since armor is a big deal in the next game and health is kind of really no longer there, it's there obviously, but there's no crazy med kit pops or overdoses and shit like that for this one. So you guys can just run around and hit overdose all day and hit med kits all day. You can choose whether you want it to fly next to you and passively repair your armor, or choose to fly to a friendly whose armor needs repaired, including other damage skills. Now, the next thing on the list, which I know a lot of you guys use, and some people are going to be really pissed about this, and that's the Pulse. The Pulse has been changed in the next game and no longer has crit damage or crit chance. I know a lot of people are not really happy about that, because people run 10k Tactician and have pulses, or even AK Tactician have a decent pulse, or run Final Measure with a pulse. Just get the extra crit chance and crit damage, but from what I've heard, that is no longer the case. So you do not have crit chance or crit damage on the Pulse. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's just what I've heard. I could be wrong, and they could change it. But these are the first three variants. The first one is the Scanner, this will be just for scanning enemies, and they'll be displayed on your HUD, making them easier for you and your team to find. The next one is a remote variant that you could basically throw, and it scans enemies every second, but it can be found and destroyed by NPCs. So I'm guessing if it can be found by NPCs, it mostly likely can be found by players, and they can probably destroy it just by shooting it. The third one is the Jammer. The Jammer sends out an EMP pulse that can destroy or disable other skill objects, devices in the area. So this is something going to be like, I'm guessing, kind of like the Disruptor. So you could throw this, and it's going to disable your skills for a small amount of time. I don't know if it's going to be as crazy Disruptor, but I think this is kind of like a mini version of it. That way you can throw this and disrupt skills. But that's what I think a lot of people are most likely going to be using with that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, why the hell are you going to use a turret? It wasn't one of my favorites in Division 1, because I used it a lot in PvE, and I mostly used the Dragon's Breath one just for crowd control and pushing people back in hallways and shit like that. And I know a lot of people hate turrets. I personally do not like shock turrets, so before I say anything, those will not be in the next game as far as I know. But the basic one is probably which I'll probably use just for fighting NPCs and players for extra support. But the first one is the Assault one. Similar to the striker drone, this skill is designed with offensive players in mind. So I guess this is designed so if you're going to be in cover a lot, since we're going to be in cover in the next game a lot more than the first game, you can throw this guy over a wall or somewhere and have it suppress a target, or basically give you that little edge to fight players when you're in close quarter areas, or if you're running down a hallway or a street, you can throw this on the ground and it will suppress them and make them go in cover. The next one, which I know a lot of people are really going to love, and I like it, but they changed it a little bit. This is the incinerator. If you enjoy crowd control, which I do, this is the skill for you. Equipped with an incinerator tank, the incinerator ignites fuel and fires it in a cone to deal area of effect damage. So, problem with this one is there's no 360-degree turns. So I think that's what I've heard. So far, it's only in one direction that you can put this down and actually hit players with it, but it does not go 360 degrees. I think it only goes from like left to right, just a little bit. That's just what I've heard. Now the next one on the list is the artillery. So this is a specialist for the demolitionists. So when you throw this, you can pick basically a spot where you want it to fire like basically a tiny ass mortar shell, and it will blow up players and NPCs. The last one, which is pretty cool to me personally, but I think it might have a few problems if the way it's made, and that's the sniper one. The long-range semi-automatic turret that targets the same enemy you're engaging. With basically the sniper can adjust its aim to your own target. Now the next thing on the list is the chem launcher, which was revealed in the E3 demo, which you guys will see that the guy is shooting it next to the plane, and the guy playing shoots it with his lightweight M4 and causes it to set on fire. That's going to be the first variant, and it's going to be called the Fire Starter. So basically this canister sends out a flammable, near invisible gas. These causes can be ignited with any spark, bullet impacts, enemies firing their weapons inside the cloud, or explosives, or enemies running around them while they're on fire. So you basically can combine multiple clouds over a large area and create a devastating chain reaction. Now the next thing on the list for the chem launcher is the Riot Foam. A lot of people were very pissed, at least a lot of people that I'm friends with were very pissed about this, because they didn't like the idea of getting stuck in foam, because it basically is the same thing as a shock turret, as they put it. Me personally, I think it's cool, but I could see why a lot of people would get really pissed at this, because this does fire a canister of foam that can get you stuck. It's all sticky, it's heavy, and it expands rapidly, and anyone who is affected is stuck in place for a period of time, and it can be hardened, and you're basically stuck. So you can break free by pushing, I think it's X on the controller, to break out of it, and also your teammates can shoot it. Now the next one on the list is the oxidizer. I do not know really shit about the oxidizer. I know that it has a corrosive chemical that can rip through armor, and it can basically rip through enemy mechanical items. Next, you guys will see a small clip of the Riot Foam that was from the E3 footage, and the guy shoots him with it, and he gets stuck, and then he uses the lightweight M4 to shoot him out. But that's just a small clip of what the foam does in the next game. Now the next one on the list is going to be the Reinforcer. The Reinforcer is I think the last one, if I remember correctly, on the list. Basically, it's, I guess you could say, a projectile that designates and disperses an armor repairing cloud. So it's kind of like a healing item for the chem launcher. So you shoot this on the ground, it's going to be kind of like a heal, I guess. That's one way I guess you could look at it. And it's going to be repair your armor over time. So it's not going to give you like an instant heal, but you have the ability to heal your friends very fast, or even yourself over time. So you could shoot this on the ground and essentially get health from it. To me, that sounds like a booster shot or a heal, but that's just me. That's I think one of the main ones that someone in my team most likely will be using, since there's going to be people wanting to find some kind of way to become a healer, and this seems like a good way to do it. Now the next thing on the list, which is going to be a original item from the game, and that's going to be the Seeker Mine. The Seeker Mine at 1.6 was kind of annoying, since they were kind of OP, or one variant of them was very OP, and it literally blew the shit out of you, and that constantly got on my damn nerves, but I dealt with it, and I just got past it, and it was just kind of there, and you dealt with it at the time. Here's the few variants that I've noted. This is the explosive one. This is the classic Seeker Mine that chases a target and detonates the target with a staggering explosion. However, it can be avoided if there's a slight arming time before it explodes. So I guess you can, get past it, or I'm guessing you could probably shoot it like the original Seeker if you could see it in time and blow it up like the first one. Next is the air bursts. This is one I think was in Division 1 as well. I don't really use Seekers, so I don't really pay that much attention to them, but this mine rolls to your designated area and launches an explosive burst into the air at a head height for the enemy to reaching proximity. This is the third variant. This is the meander. I guess it's similar to the reinforced chem launcher. It basically releases a repair chemical, and I did see gameplay of this, but I could not figure out where it was. This one basically repairs your armor over time, and this one is only available for the survival specialist. So it's kind of like a healing seeker, I guess you could put it like that. Now the last one on the list is going to be the cluster. This is going to be the last one for the seeker mine. The cluster contains a small number of smaller charges in one package, so it's basically capable of propelling itself once deployed. Each smaller mine picks a target and sits towards them. So you throw one seeker, then it expands to other seekers and it blows the shit out of enemies, basically is what it is. Similar to the one in the first game. Now the next thing, which I only have a small clip here of, is the hive. This thing's pretty cool. You see the guy throwing it and it shoots a bunch of bullets at the target and flies into them. Kind of like a swarm of bees. I guess that's the way they put it, since it's called the hive after all. The first one is the stinger. The microdrone swarms hostile targets that enters their range, inflicting damage and targeting weak spots, destroying them efficiently. So like the juggernaut they were fighting in the demo, this goes directly for those weak armor spots that are on their arms or legs, destroying them. That way you can have an easier point to shoot the enemy while they're almost dead. Next is the restorer. So this is kind of like, I guess, a health box. When the restorer detects missing armor on a friendly agent in the range, it deploys micro-repair drones towards the agent or impact amount of armor is repaired. So basically when you throw this on the ground, it's going to go towards your agent and repair their armor, kind of like an immune station or a revive station. Next is the booster. The booster sends out a micro drone per friendly player that basically administrates a stimulant, increases combat efficiency, boosting weapon handling, movement, and other physical capabilities of the agent. So it's basically kind of like a blue, I guess. That's what I've heard. In a small area, you'll be able to run around a little bit more, and you'll also have a little bit better weapon handling. That way, your gun will probably be a little bit more stable, and I'm guessing your health will probably go up a little bit too. Now, the next one on the list, which I know some people were probably really wanting, that's going to be the reviver. This is going to be the basically when deployed, the reviver can revive allies with a specific radius on the ground. If any of your down allies are within the range of the Reaver Hive, it manually orders a set ordered micro drones to revive them. However, you can also press and hold the button to charge up the micro drones. The longer you hold the button, the more your health and your armor will ally receives with you. Now, the last thing on the list, well actually, I guess it's not really the last, but this is the last one with gameplay and I know information about, and that's going to be the shield. A lot of people really like the shield in the first game due to D3, but there's not really a lot of information that I could find on them. First one is the bulwark shield, which can be used primary weapons on the shield like the shotgun, the vector, stuff like that, and the crusader. But this is the first shield from the first game, protects your whole body, and you can only use a sidearm. Sorry, defense guys. I know you like your SMGs, but you can no longer use an SMG with that one at the moment. You guys will see a little bit of gameplay here of the guy using it. It was kind of hard to find a few clips. I had to dig around and find these, but the guy is using a sidearm with it, so I guess you can no longer use SMGs because the other shield allows you to do that. Now the last one is the Firefly. There are no gameplay of the Firefly. This is unknown, sorry, but this is going to be a skill that's going to be the next game. Not 100% sure what it does, but it is there, so that's going to be about it for the skills, guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, I will catch you guys in the next one.